My name is Ailish Henderson, and I practice as what I would class as a narrative artist. And I've just published my book with Batsford, which is Narrative Textiles, and you're able to get your own copy now. It's all about memories and moments in time and stories of my own, but also plenty of ideas and jump starts for you as the reader to use and then create your own work based on those, your own moments in your own personal journey. I would say very much it's written from the heart, and I don't believe that you can produce really long-lasting art or art that means anything without doing it really from your soul. The narratives that are in it, some of them are personal, others are made up. There's a lot of people watching, and it's about taking those moments in your life or actually noticing the moments. So moments matter. All those little moments in time that make us smile, but maybe catch us aware, and it's just magic. That's really what the book represents, is that not being so hard-hearted about life that you don't notice the slight glimmers that might come across you in your path, really. But it's the idea of don't just walk through life every day and not remember things. Keep things in your head as a diary or down on your phone, anything that really makes you laugh. It could be one of your friends saying a funny sentence. It can be anything like that. And note those down and use them and build them into your artwork. I have always worked from a narrative or a story myself. So I've produced in the book several boxes you'll see all the way through, dotted around narrative one, narrative two, and they'll always be on a different subject, the British Museum, a meeting with friends, a happenstance in my life, and all those things I leave with basically a comma at the end, because then what is your memory going to be? I'm not going to place my memories on you and expect you to use them, but what could your narrative be that is very, even maybe similar to that? Because it might remind you of a certain event in your life by hearing one of mine, and then you think, oh, I could use that. So I would say get a certain picture in your mind. Within a lot of my teaching work, I get people to get out their iPhones, go through memories. It can be a picture. I've had pictures of grandmas eating ice cream and that kind of look of joy on their face. Or it can be a sunset for someone who genuinely is a bit nervous and just thinks, oh, I'm going to look up Google. I'll Google a sunset. Let's try that first. So it's whatever really captures your own interest. And I would say I draw out the ideas. Someone else might find that difficult, so they might just have to place things on a piece of paper, like a piece of fabric or some scrap material, and try and get something visually out there. But what I would say is start somewhere, because I'm terrible at thinking, oh, I'm not sure which idea is going to capture my interest enough. It takes me a long time to get an idea that I love enough to really run and run and run with. I'll have a lot of ideas. I'll get very excited with them for about 5 minutes and then they'll fizz out. So get something that really captures your soul and your life and then play with it. So I've used the two grandparents on my mum's side. So I spent most of my childhood literally in the next street away from them. I guess I've remembered them wherever I've been. So for me, I had a lot of my self-portrait work, and that was actually inspired by my grandmother as well, even though it's not with her. So there's a lot of interconnections between me and her, and also looking at pictures of me and her at the same age, what we were like, what our differences were, and who we became as adults, really. I would say that a lot of the areas in my life, I am a perfectionist, but when it comes to artwork, there is the sort of idea that that is my play. I'm not looking for the masterpiece that's going to hang on a gallery wall forever, like a Van Gogh or something. I'm just looking for a way to process what's gone in my head. So for me, it is about not worrying so much about the final outcome. And that's where you see some of the processes in the book that you can then go on to read about, for instance, the printmaking. It's not about getting the perfect clean print. It's about making your memory. Or say it's about the mashup moment, so bringing up pieces of collage to create a portrait or something like that, it's not about an exact representation of that person. It's just the idea or what they symbolize to you, really, or what that item or what that scene, that moment in time. It's more about the moment and the memory than the actual representation that you produce. So we all have some bits and pieces given from family members. There'll be something. For instance, I myself had drawers and drawers in my studio. I've said this so many times, boxes and boxes, those plastic wonderful boxes. And they had folded beautifully, neatly pieces of antique lace, everything, passed down vintage supplies, everything that I thought should be precious, kept safe and looked at occasionally and just sort of looked at from a distance, respected. And then I realized it could all go up in smoke. So I started to cut them up. And that was really how it all went from there, really. So I cut them up, did lots of bits and pieces to them. And gradually, once you get an understanding of it, then you can then process it more and more without it becoming such a fear to do the like that first one, because that first snip feels sacrilegious, really. So I wanted to choose a mix of artists. They were all artists that I kind of followed on social media or my past students. I remember in my time doing a degree, I was doing a thing on visible mending. And Karen Nicol, she happened to show me some pictures of a dress that she thought was absolutely nothing at the time, but it was a little girl's dress and it had that kind of repair work. Anyway, that was all I'd ever heard from her. And then I brought it back to her attention years later and said, can I use this for the book? Because I hadn't seen it anywhere else. So for me, that was a real gold-worthy moment because I hadn't seen this famous artist use this particular piece anywhere else. I felt like I'd got the first go of the story, as it were. And that meant a lot to me at the time because I respected her work so much. And it's funny how that, those sort of little moments as well make more of a memory in the book. So I battled and battled to get those pieces included. But yeah, that's one artist who really stands out to me as a massive highlight within the book.